Alrighty, week 39. Welcome back to Demo Days. It's been a few weeks. We've been all hands on deck with the new V1 stuff. We got a couple demos that are going to show off our work in progress on that, but happy to be back and share some demos. So yeah, I'm going to pass it over to Bobby, who's going to kick us off.
Yep. Let's share screen. So I've been working on, one of the things I've been working on in version 1 is a reimagining of what dev mode will look like. So to start here, I have a V1 agent, and I'm on the UI for this V1 agent. And the new version of dev mode, or the replacement for dev mode, is going to be called something called Workbench. So here's an example of, you can create a workbench here and attach to your app. And then if we save here and we go, let's wait for this to run, go to /workbench, you now have this workbench app that we provide to you from the SDK. So this is not something you can configure right now. It's going to be this beautiful app. It's not beautiful right now. On this workbench route where you can interact with your agent. And you may be asking, Bobby, where I expect beautiful UI from Agentuity. This is not beautiful UI. Well, Matt has been working on this wonderful UI, which we will drop in very shortly once I get all the pipes piped. And it will look nicely with the rest of our UI that you've come to expect. So one other little tidbit is you can also change the endpoint. I'm still working on the interface here. It probably won't be called API endpoint, but you can change it to something like random, and it now runs. Let's see, is Workbench actually? So now Workbench should be 404. So yeah, that so you're able to configure that. There'll probably some other configuration you can do on the Workbench. But right now it's going to be pretty bare bones, and we'll layer in features as we go.
Okay, I will show off. I've been just to talk a bit for a second. I'm going to probably show off a few different things that are all related to V1. Rob and I have been hard working on some of the bringing the new production infrastructure up, which has been really cool. We saw this week our first set of agents deployed on our multi-cloud, kind of multi-region, which has been really exciting. So it's been a lot of work. We're finally starting to see the fruits of that as we're going live now. And I've also been working on some new CLI capabilities and some new APIs. So I'm just going to show a few things off related to that. This is all running on the new version. So let's see here. Okay, so I've got a new project. It's a V1 project. We've got a few different things that we're doing, moving away from YAML and going to standard JSON. So it'll be an Agentuity JSON file. It's going to be very minimal since everything's pretty much, part of your deployed code. Everything's going to kind of stay with that. But what's nice about that is not only is it kind of easy and simpler than YAML, and we don't have less cruft that we have to put in the file that you have to worry about and manage. But it also, every deployment now has this file and all the metadata related to it in that. So if you roll back to an old deployment or roll forward to a deployment that's not yet live, it kind of picks all this up from the code. So that's a few different things. I have a really basic agent here with a really basic route. So let me start with the agent. The agent's not really an agent. It's just a really simple hello world, just to test this out. And then this is a really simple route that you can sort of send some data to it. And that's pretty basic, just out of the box, really bare bones template right now that we're working with. So I'll just show a few things. I'm going to use the new, so we've really made it easy. You can just bun dev now, and behind the scenes, it'll kind of wire everything up. We do have dev mode now working, and going to the cloud and all of that, as well as your local endpoint. We'll have some additional things that will probably get loaded into this before we go live, but we also have some nice little shortcuts while you're in dev mode. Sometimes you just want to clear the console and start over because you've got a bunch of logs and you want to start over for like a new request and debug that request. You've also got some nice things. I can show which my agents are, and I can show my different routes and things like that. I'm just hitting the keys to basically do that. But let's flip back over here and let's just bring this we'll again make this a lot prettier as soon as Matt gets his hands on it, but this is just a really simple default. And that's pretty much it. You can sort of see pretty much it. Basically, I don't have any kind of log level debugging on. Okay, so that's kind of really basic. Now let's do some other things. So I can bun run build. You won't generally need to do this because this will happen automatically when you run dev mode. It'll automatically behind the scenes hot reload and build for you and type check and all that for you. But it's nice if you just want to be able to do that. You can also just deploy directly here, bun run deploy now. We have this really nice progress menu to kind of show you what's happening now. And you can sort of see like when it's doing certain things, and you get kind of this really nice console. Again, we'll probably improve this a little bit before we go live. But you know, some new things, you know, one of the requested features is you'd like to be able to get to what's the deployment ID. So if I want to roll it back or I want to roll it forward or things like that, I get a specific now URL. I get like a vanity URL, if you will, for your deployment. So like a specific URL to go to that deployment, which is really nice in testing, as well as you can get the overall project URL. So so every deployment now gets its own unique URL to make it really easy to test with. You don't have to worry about agents, and the URLs are clean. You can also, I won't demo this today, maybe in a future demo in the next week or so, but you can also now just configure your own domains. I can just put my own domains in there, and then we'll show you when you go to deploy. If you don't have them set up, we'll give you the exact DNS entries. All you have to do is add one DNS entry, and you can have your own domains now, which is really pretty badass. Okay, so that was deployed. A few other commands that I was going to run just to show you some stuff I've been working on this week. I can now, because I just deployed it, I can now see. I can get a list of my deployments now from the CLI. So we try to take pretty much everything you can do in the UI for the most part, not 100%, but like 95%. You can now do from the CLI. It's also all agent enabled. So we've made it. We've done a lot of work to make it where. Oops, that was a fail. Sorry about that. I've got a bug there. But pretty much everything should be agent enabled, meaning you can get JSON output, you can validate input and output. Everything's schema based. So there's a lot of work I've done this week around giving your coding agents more context and tools around how to use the project and how to use all the various resources to like debug and things like that. So so let's do that. So yeah, deployments. If I want to get like a specific deployment, let me take this deployment I just did here, this active one, and I can show that deployment and get some information about that deployment. I can, of course, roll it back. I can undeploy it. I can do a bunch of different things, like remove that specific deployment if like we deployed some bad code or something, and I just don't ever want that deployment to be available. There's a bunch of stuff like that you can do. We'll see. You can also do some neat things around, let's say, KV now. So we've built a full CLI for the KV object store. Storage is getting ready to come out. The SQL database and Redis will also have their own REPLs and CLI commands. You can kind of manage all that. So the goal is you could basically do, again, everything from the CLI, as well as all of these APIs that talk to our services. Now there's an SDK for them. So if you wanted to just drop them into your Bun or Node app or some other app and then use them directly in your own app, you can do that now. So those will all be open source and made available as well. So just to show a few things, I can say list namespaces, and then get all my namespaces in, or I can even just jump into a REPL, which is kind of nice if I just want to do a bunch of work. And there's a really nice REPL now that you can just jump in, and let's say I want to get the keys for, I don't know, test, let's say, and I want to sort of set, foo bar, expected input. So I want to say set namespace key value. So there you go. Get a really nice, get test. And it even does some really nice things. Like you can see, it has history as I'm up and down arrow. I can also do, JSON, foo bar, and it tries to be smart about that. So, with syntax highlighting and things like that. And so there's a version of that for all of the various services that we've had. So we try to build sort of first class CLI to be fully scriptable, as well as some nicer REPLs to make it easy for the different products. that we have to make it easier for both you and your agents to be able to use them. You can also do things like sessions. This has been a big issue before. You have to go to the UI to get your sessions and find logs and debugs and whatever. And sometimes you just want to be in the CLI, or you want to give your coding agent access to be able to like troubleshoot issues, especially in the cloud. So you can sort of see here a bunch of my endpoints that I'm hitting. I've got a session ID, and I want to just, we'll say, let's just get that session ID and see what happens. You can kind of get a bunch of information about that session and the agents that ran, et cetera. We'll continue to improve this even more. And then more importantly, let's say I want to get, let's say, my logs for that session. So I could just sort of say, let's get the logs for the session, and I want to filter. You can filter by some different things, but let's say in this case, I want to basically, let's see, I want to get a specific session ID, which I think I have in my buffer. And now I can just go get all the logs for that session. You know, this is obviously a simple thing that I just hit. So there's not a ton of logs, but you can sort of get the different logs, and you can do some different filtering on that, et cetera. So we'll continue to add more filters for that. So again, we just tried to make it really first class. Pretty much everything from the CLI, everything's fully scriptable, everything's in an SDK to make it easy for you to extend the platform and use the platform more easily. You can also do something really, really, really fun. So let me see if I can demo this real quick. So this is a little bit of a fun one that we rolled out this week. I could just SSH into my running container. So I've got now an SSH session here that I just SSH'd into. You will have to upload your public key. So in this case, I've already done it, but I'll just show you, like, there's some new SSH commands, and you can sort of list my keys. These are just my public signatures, so it's okay, don't worry. I can add different keys, and then once I add my key, then I can, any project across different orgs that I have access to, I can just SSH into them. And so you can also, of course, use the command line. You can either give it a deployment or a project ID. We'll probably be expanding this, but if I give it a project ID that I want to SSH into, it'll find the latest deployment and then put you in that deployment. If I give it a deployment ID, then if it'll go to that specific deployment. If it's an old deployment that hasn't been, that's not active and not serving current traffic, it will spin up a machine and put you into it. So you can even go to old deployments, which is kind of mind-boggling. But and so it's neat. I'll go right back into that one real quick. And you're in the cloud running with your Agentuity project. We plan on making this a lot more, expanding this a lot more, because this is really powerful. As we've been playing with this, even with coding agent, especially like in a production scenario, I want to give my coding agent access to be able to go into it. Obviously, it's highly sandboxed on what it can do, but you can go in and debug certain things, kind of make changes, etc. So this is kind of one of the visions for what we're trying to do, and understand kind of the running resources. So let me get out of that container real quick. You can also, it wouldn't be good if you didn't also have, let's say, SCP capabilities. So you can, of course, SCP using the CLI, or we have some helpers to just make it a little bit easy for you. So I just want to download, we'll say, and because it knows I'm in this project, I don't have to do the app ID. So like we tried to make it really easy. Like, it knows what project you're in because of the directory, so you don't need to provide any information. It just puts you right into the container. Or in the case of SCP, you can either pull or push data to and from the virtual machine. So like in this case, I don't know, I want to get, let's get back into the container real quick and see. I want to pull out the, I don't know, app.js. Let's do that one. So theoretically, I should be able to say app.js. And then I probably need to give it my Agentuity. Let's see if that's correct. Didn't put me in the working directory, did it? I'm probably got the wrong, maybe it's app. Well, let's see here. Let me get back in and see what directory I'm in. Home, Agentuity, app.js. Home, Agentuity, app.js. Am I not missing something? Food? Okay, well, it's not working. That's weird. But it should work. We obviously have a few bugs that we're working through, but the idea is you can upload, download using SSH, SCP protocol. Of course, you can still use SCP directly if you want. So if I wanted to move a file, SCP ts config, like whatever, and then let's go use our project ID here. I should be able to do this as well. Let's just try it. Temp. All right, that worked. I SCP'd that file over. Now let's get in the container and just verify that just to make sure. It might be a permission problem. Let's see. Yeah, there's my TS config. So I just uploaded it. Let me just download it then. Let's just do something like temp. Can't type today. Let's just SCP temp TS config JSON to foo. How about that? Will that work? Yeah, that worked. All right, so there's just something weird with the helper methods, probably with the path or something, but you can see sort of that work. So really, really powerful. Pretty excited about that one. Let's see. There's probably a billion other things that I'm forgetting, but that's the first kind of quick go through of the different commands and some of the new updated versions of the platform, the runtime, the SDK, et cetera. So we really try to make it a lot easier for you and a lot more powerful. And we're really excited to get this out really soon. I'm hoping to have maybe an early preview build, probably early sometime next week, maybe, with a full release coming very, very soon here in production. So we're just working through a lot of the kinks and continue to work through some of your feedback. And we really appreciate all the feedback everyone's given us. So if you're not in Discord, please join Discord. Shoot us an email, hi@agentuity.com, or hello, I think also works. And yeah, we look forward to getting your feedback. And for those that are celebrating next week, I hope you have a great holiday in the US, Thanksgiving. And otherwise, we will see you back the following week. So thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.